Welcome to FNN News, Finfine News Network. I am your host, Cybele. First up in news today, the U.S. has sanctioned the ruling party in Eritrea and the Eritrean military for its role in the conflict in Ethiopia. And this is according to a statement released by the Department of the Treasury. So we will put up a copy of that here. So according to a statement from the U.S. Treasury Department released on Friday, new sanctions will be imposed on Eritrean actors that have contributed to the crisis and conflict, which have undermined the stability and integrity of the Ethiopian state. Specifically, those sanctions will target the Eritrean Defense Force, the People's Front for Democracy and Justice, Abraha Kasa Nemariam, the Hydri Trust, Hagos Gebrehiwet W. Kidan, and the Red Sea Trading Corporation. And the statement also continues that Eritrean troops have been an impediment to ending conflict and bringing Ethiopian people access to humanitarian aid. Now, Prime Minister Abiy has, of course, denied the involvement of the Eritrean Defense Forces, or EDF, in the conflict, even though accounts from Ethiopian residents and backed up by humanitarian workers on the ground independently have disproved that claim. And back in August, the U.S. Treasury Department had sanctioned the EDF Chief of Staff, General Philippos Wolde-Yohannes, for what they called serious human rights abuses in the Tigray region. And in terms of those entities that are being sanctioned now, the Hydri Trust is the business arm of the PFDJ, and the Red Sea Trading Corporation manages its financial interests. In other news, the Ethiopian government said that any UN or African Union staff will be arrested if they break laws within Ethiopia. And this comes after 16 UN staff working in Ethiopia were detained in the capital of Finfine, while 6 others were previously detained but have been released. And according to UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric, there has been no explanation given as to why those UN workers were detained by Prime Minister Abiy's government. In September, Abiy deemed 7 senior UN officials persona non grata and ordered them to leave Ethiopia within 72 hours of the order's release. And the order targeted a number of different entities. Those included Grant Leite, the Deputy Humanitarian Coordinator for OCHA, Adele Coder, a UNICEF representative in Ethiopia, OCHA's Kwesi Sans-Kulot, Saeed Mohamud Hersi, Gada El Tahir Midawi, and Marcy Vigoda, and also Sani Onyegbula, who is an official for the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. And this order accused those officials of, quote, meddling in Ethiopia's internal affairs. In response to those developments, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, we'll put up an image of the Secretary General now. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres immediately went into negotiations with Ethiopian officials following the release of the order and said that he was shocked by what had transpired. And additionally, U.S. Press Secretary Jen Psaki and the U.S. Secretary of the State Antony Blinken have also condemned the move of the arrests of these UN officials, as well as the expulsion of several of those officials from the country, and emphasized that the UN is crucial to providing humanitarian aid support for the nation. Moving on to news on Oromia. the detention of political leader Jawar Mohammed has reached its 500th day. Jawar Mohammed, of course, a well-known Oromo political opposition leader who was first arrested by Abiy's government in the wake of protests and unrest over the killing of the Oromo singer and activist Hachalu Hundessa in June of 2020. And in other news on the case of Jawar Mohammed, the prosecutor's witness in the hearing against the defendants in Jawar Mohammed's case was set for the 1st of November, but has been suspended until further notice after the defense objected to an earlier decision from a federal high court. And that earlier decision would have allowed the prosecution to continue the hearing despite the fact that 4 of the defendants in the case refused to be present. Those defendants, all other opposition figures who have been arrested essentially without due process, and they include Jawar Mohammed, as well as Bekele Gerba, Hamza Adane, and Dejene Tafa. All, of course, were arrested, and we have not been given news on their condition. And those 4 prisoners refused to attend the hearing in person to protest the execution and inhumane conditions of political prisoners in Ethiopia, as well as the continued extrajudicial killings carried out by Abiy's regime in Oromia and other regions of the country. And the prosecutor's hearing had originally been set for November 1st through 5th to last for those 5 days. However, the new date has been set for November 16th. Last up today, a video obtained by FNN News shows government soldiers using force against Oromo mothers who are protesting against their children being taken and forcibly conscripted into military service. A report that was published by the Oromo Legacy Leadership and Advocacy Association details how young Oromos have been abducted and forced into military service, with many put on the front lines in the conflict with the TPLF. And according to that report, many of those Oromo youth, when faced with poverty and starvation, are either manipulated or otherwise threatened into joining the National Defense Forces, who offer them money, or in some case, they are just simply abducted and then forced into service. And child military service, of course, is against UN international law, according to Article 1 of the Optional Protocol to the Convention on the Rights of the Child. So we will show a clip from that video now. So once again, that is a video of Oromo mothers who are being forcibly restrained by Ethiopian forces as they protest the conscription of their children into service for the national military. And that will be all for today. Thanks again for watching FNN News, Finfinne News Network, and I'm your host, Cybele.